Hello and welcome to this tutorial on how to invite your staff and start tracking. Now we're assuming that you have reviewed your organization's defaults on the prior tutorial and that you are ready for your staff and team members to use this time tracking service. So let's go over to team members. On your left side, you will see the menu and the option to add a new team member. To do this, all you need is the email addresses of your team. This option triggers an invite mail to your staff to download the app from the App Store or Play Store. So in my example, I will enter here a character named Mr. Test. And submit that. So at this point, you should check the inbox or your staff. We would suggest that you send yourself as the account holder the invite mail in order to get familiar with this process. It would be a good idea to start using the tracker app on your own during the trial period so that you are familiar with all facets of this service. Now it's time to check your mailbox on your smartphone or tablet for the invite mail which was sent to you from Staff Times. Be sure to check your spam folder if this does not arrive within minutes and ensure your device is online. The invite mail contains the credentials set up by the administrator to join the pool of tracking. And you'll see a link to the Play Store and App Store. Please tap on the App Store link provided and install the app. When you start the app for the first time, you will be asked to log in with your credentials. Please revert to the invite mail and enter your email ID and token ID in the screen provided. Once you submit, next you will be asked to provide a few details about yourself in order for the administrator to identify you from his administrator control panel. You can add a picture of yourself and you can also add details like your phone extension, your department, and finally your location. These details will be published on the control panel for the administrator. Once you're ready, once confirmed, it may take a few minutes to load all the default settings from the cloud until you land on the timesheet page. First thing you see is a pop-up alert advising you to use the Save button in order to push your time tracking to the cloud in order for it to be displayed on the administrator's control panel. Once you see the timesheet page, you are ready to track. The app gives you a choice of buttons to start with. You may choose the My Activities button to get a list of all activity names deployed by the administrator. So these may contain dozens or just a few. This all depends on how the administrator has set up this default range of activities. You may also choose from the My Templates button to get a list of templates deployed by the administrator. There is also a button for the previous day's timesheet to be copied forward and a day template. For this example, we'll use the Fast Check-in button. The Fast Check-in button holds the most common activity used. This can be set within the settings. We'll visit that later. So the current time has been inserted at the start. So let's say this activity named at work ends. In this case, use the checkout button. You may also tap on the end time and pull up the time picker and easily select the time you wish to end this activity. So you have various options, either using the checkout button or the time picker when you tap directly on the field. Once the end time is populated, the app will ask you to push this data to the cloud by showing a red button at the top. We advise you to confirm this button whenever it appears red. This ensures that the administrator does receive your input for his reporting. You can track your data when you're not on the internet, i.e. offline. In this case, you can tap on the red button when you're online again. To add another sheet, simply hit the In button or hit the Next button or the plus icon. This will allow you to add another sheet to your day. You may add as many sheets as you like to illustrate your working day at the level you require. In this example, we have added a second sheet and we are adjusting the start time as the app enters the current time, so we are able to overwrite that using the time picker. In this case, we have here a second sheet with afternoon times, and this has been saved again with the red button for the administrator. We add a third sheet in this example, and we've this time selected the activity name. We have changed the activity name to home office and chosen a time in the evening, and we'll just add a end time to that with a 1 hour break and save that. So at this point we have 3 sheets. We can page back using the arrows. We'll go to the first page and we decide to make an adjustment there. We say we have started our day at 10 a.m. So we choose this time. Again, we're asked to save. We hit the red button eventually once we're happy with all these entries, and they will be pushed out to the cloud. So in this example, your daily balance comes out to 2 hours and 35 minutes. This is created as your working hours are matched against your daily offset. The daily offset is set to 8 hours. The offset field is shown on the top left of the screen. It relates to the standard working hours at your organization. This value is defaulted from the Set Working Days section of the settings. To update this value, simply tap on the field to see a pick list. This app was designed to carry daily offset values. If your case requires weekly offset or monthly offset, this can be accommodated as well. You may choose to enter a weekly value, such as 40 hours in this offset field for Monday. In this case, on the following days, you would enter a 0, which would eventually add up to the 40 days. There are various ways to handle weekly or monthly offset scenarios. Please contact Staff Times for assistance. So let's move on to reports. On the reports page at the top, you have the option of choosing the date range. The first report is the daily summary. So you see exactly 1 line per day. In this report, you will see the 2 hours and 35 balance we created on our timesheet. Next report is the detail report. This report is shown in landscape view because of the full detail requiring a wider screen. All the individual sheets that have been added in the timesheet for that particular day are shown here and you have the option of filtering by particular activity names, as well as filtering out or hiding certain fields which you don't need. The overtime summary will give you a condensed view of your balances. You can display it on a weekly basis, monthly, or annual. The overtime graph report will show you the same balances also in a graphical mode for weekly, monthly, and annual. Then we have the allowance bank report. This report relates to those activities that were set up with an annual production target or an allowance for things such as annual leave, for vacation or sick days. If you have attached timesheets with such activities, this report will pick those up. Finally, the activity graph report will give you a graphical view of each activity for that date range specified. Next is the settings. In the settings, at the top you'll see the time picker increments. These have been defined by the administrator and cannot be changed. You have other settings where you can update these to your preferences, such as 24-hour mode or AM/PM mode, regional preferences, and whether you want to see all the buttons on the timesheet page, shortcut keys. We also have the set working days. This is where you set your offset defaults. You may override this. These defaults were given by the administrator. You have the option of updating these as shown on the screen here. The break value will be applied for those activities where a break has been activated. In addition, conditions and templates can be added for each day of the week. Now let's look at conditions. You can have up to 2 conditions per working day. These conditions are pushed from the administrator. You have read-only access. These conditions relate to special rates applied when working late hours, such as shifts or weekend work. So let's look at overtime for period. Overtime for period relates to special hours that exceed a certain threshold. This is common when wanting to add additional hours, or such as bonus hours, where your organization has a policy of granting bonus hours if your staff exceeds a certain number of hours for a specific date range, such as weekly hours in excess of, say, 40 hours would then apply a special hourly rate. These parameters are defined by the administrator and are read-only. The bonus hours that are calculated can then be attached as a separate sheet with an activity name such as overtime for week. Please refer to the FAQ page for more detail. Next up is clear overtime balance. This feature allows you to reset your balance to 0. So in our example, we had an overtime of 2 hours and 35 minutes, and using this feature, if you hit the go button, this will insert an additional sheet with an activity named overtime clear balance. You would use this feature in your organization if you had a policy for flex time, where your staff can burn their overtime, or you may have paid wages for the overtime, and this would then compensate. Let's look at defined templates. Templates allow you to add your activities to a 24-hour period. You will see a list of templates that were deployed by your administrator. If this is empty, this means there were no templates deployed to you. You are able to create your own templates. Simply hit the plus icon and add an activity of your choice. The activities list is given to you as it was defined by the administrator. If you need activities that are not on here, then please coordinate with the administrator to get those set up and deployed to you before you create a template. These templates can be attached to your day templates found in the Set Working Days section, or you can simply insert them using the My Templates button on the timesheet page. So let's look at the activity records. The list you see here was set up by the administrator and deployed to the tracker app here. You are able to go into the detail of each of these activity records to check how they were set up. For example, if the flat break deduction is set to on, this will add an additional field to the timesheet page to allow you to enter the break time, which will be deducted from the working hours. Additional explanations are given in the FAQ and the setup guide within the administrator's control panel. A full list of these activities can be created as a PDF by using the Send button. This will give you a full table with all the settings. So let's go back to the Staff Times website to the administrator's control panel. Assuming the administrator has refreshed his screen and logged in, he will land on this page. This is the dashboard page where there is a summary of all the working hours and overtimes of all the staff participating on this account. So if we switch over to the reports, staff and reports, if you click on that, you will see a list of all the staff who are tracking their hours as part of this account. Now if you click on View Reports for this particular staff, we will see the details of that tracking. The first report is called a daily summary, and you'll notice that these are the very same reports that we saw earlier on the tracker app. So we have 6 reports in total, which are both available on the tracker app as well as on the control panel of the administrator. The second report, the detail report, will give you the full detail, as in all the activity names and start and end times or flat input values that were entered on the tracker app. So this is a kind of an audit trail of the working days. You also have the option of hiding certain fields or including additional fields like the minute values for later exporting. You do have options there on the left with these icons to export your data or further process this on an Excel file or interface this into other systems. Also an option to select the activity name. So if you wanted to, for example, filter just on home office to see how much home office your staff has done, that would be the way to go. Next report is a summary, condensed view of the total balances of a particular week. There's also the monthly view and annual view on that. The same report can be displayed in graphical way, and then you also have the activity graph, and finally the report relating to the allowance bank. So up to this point, you've learned how to enter a working day using the tracker app. You've also learned how the administrator sees your data from his perspective using the control panel on the Staff Times web app. Now let's take another example where we would like to enter paid vacation days. We realize that this activity name is not available. Therefore, we contact the coordinator, the administrator, who will set this up on his control panel. So let's switch over to the control panel where the administrator clicks on the Manage Activities menu. At this point, he can click on the Add Activities button, where the window appears to enter the name of the activity as well as any settings. If you wish to monitor the remaining vacation credit for this staff, then you're advised to maintain an allowance bank value. You'll see in the middle of the window the option to fill in the amount in hours and days. In this mode, you're only able to enter the hours mode, which means you would need to know the total hours that this staff is entitled to for the present year. What you can do is fill in the hours value here. If you would prefer to enter the days and understand the calculation behind this, we advise you to go to the default settings menu and go to the general tab, where you will see the calculation basis hours per day. So now we have saved this record. It appears ready for deployment. We can edit it once more. If we don't, we can close it, and finally we could hit that button there, the green one called deploy. But in our example, we will now adjust the allowance bank. We'll enter a different value. To do this, let's first check the general tab where we see the working day value. So the full-time equivalent is 8 hours per day. This will be the basis of the calculation. So now we go to the tab called Set Annual Allowance, where we can select this new record, and we can choose to select the days and enter the value in days and have it calculate the underlying hours for that. We will save it. So at this point we can go back to the menu Manage Activities, and look for this record and review whether the allowance bank is set as expected. So once we're ready, we can then deploy this record. At this point, it will arrive on the tracker app, so the staff will find this added to his activities list. So let's head over to the tracker app. We're on the timesheet page, and we choose from the activities button and look for the vacation record, where we can then add this to the timesheet, and the red button, the save button, tells us to save it to the cloud. So in this example, we have a 9-hour paid vacation day which matches against the offset. So this activity record was set up to be in flat input mode, meaning there is no requirement for start and end date. So let's page to the next day and copy that record. So all values are copied forward from the previous day. You're asked to hit the save button again to ensure it goes into the cloud. Now there's another way to enter timesheets in bulk using the bulk timesheet entries. In this mode, you simply indicate the date range you would like to select for adding a timesheet. You can choose from a list of predefined templates. Please be sure that you have created a template beforehand. In our example, we have prepared a vacation template, and in this case we are going to fill in the Wednesday through Friday with this bulk feature. So we're back on the timesheet page, and we page through the week from Monday through Friday, and we see that we have for all 5 days vacation entered. So now we can go and look up on the daily summary to see what this looks like in the report. As you can see on the results, these vacation days have no impact on the balances. In addition, if we now run the allowance bank report, we do see a result for the vacation. All these vacation days are now displayed in summary, and the resulting remaining credit is shown in the footer row. If we switch over to the administrator's control panel and run this report, we see the same results. This brings us to the end of this tutorial. Please note that there is more information in the FAQ, and this can be found on the Tracker app as well as from the control panel for the administrator. We're happy to get your questions. Please give us feedback if you run into trouble. We understand that we haven't covered all the scenarios. We will be launching more tutorials in the future.